Okay, now we're going to move on to the next big topic called events. And in JavaScript, event is actually just an object. But what is a JavaScript event? Well, the simplest definition I can find is that events are just things that happen to HTML elements. For example, if you have a website and it has these two buttons right here, like previous and next, if I click next, this HTML page will change. Okay. Now, internally, they put what's called an event listener on this button, right? So when I click this button, the event listener runs. And when that listener runs, it's going to take a function that the developers put, and then it will run that function. So an event in JavaScript just means, hey, the user did something, now please run this function. And as you can see, there's going to be more than one way that we can add event listeners. The first way is that we add it directly onto the HTML tag as an attribute. Okay, so here they did on click. You can also do like on drag, on double click. There's lots of different events that we'll talk about later. Okay, so this is the first way. It's the easiest and it's the fastest, but it's not the safest. Okay, the second way that we'll learn, called add event listener, will be a lot safer, but it does take longer to type out. All right, this next part, we're going to take a look at different types of events. So even in your console, if you type event, you can see there's a bunch of different events, such as text, input, touch. Also on MDN, you see there's even more events. Now, realistically, in real life, you're only going to be using a few events like input. That's when like you have a form and the user fill in their name. That's input. Keyboard events, if you're tracking how many characters they type, stuff like that. Mouse events, if you're doing drag and drop. Pointer events, this is the most popular ones. You're listening for clicks, for double clicks. Okay. All right, let's go to the console. So event itself is an object that we can access with event.prototype. Okay. And this holds all the master properties and methods of all kinds of different events. Right? You can even type in pointer event. Okay. If you type in pointer event.prototype and you go all the way down, you can see its prototype is mouse event, and that prototype is UI event, and then it leads back to the master event itself right here. Okay. So you can think of it, event itself is the master object, and it has a bunch of children objects like animation event, blob events. And these events can themselves have children, right? Like the UI event, it is the child of event, but it also has its own children like pointer events. Okay, enough of all the conceptual stuff. Let's see how we can listen for events in JavaScript itself.